In Greek mythology, Medusa is a complex figure whose story explores themes of beauty, vengeance, and transformation. Known primarily as a Gorgon with a deadly gaze that could turn people to stone, Medusa's tale is both tragic and iconic. Her story reflects the capricious nature of Greek gods, as well as the themes of punishment and fear that pervade ancient mythology. Medusa was born the youngest of the three Gorgon sisters, daughters of the primordial sea deities Phorcys and Ceto. Unlike her sisters, Stheno and Euryale, who were monstrous and immortal, Medusa was both mortal and beautiful. In early depictions, Medusa's beauty was celebrated, and she even served as a priestess in the temple of Athena, the goddess of wisdom, war, and strategy. As a priestess, Medusa took a vow of chastity, dedicating herself to serving Athena with utmost purity. Medusa's life took a tragic turn when she attracted the attention of Poseidon, the god of the sea. According to the myth, Poseidon, captivated by Medusa's beauty, pursued her. In one version of the story, Poseidon assaulted Medusa in Athena's temple, violating the sanctity of the space. The desecration of Athena's temple enraged the goddess. Instead of directing her anger toward Poseidon, however, Athena punished Medusa herself. In her fury, Athena cursed Medusa, transforming her from a beautiful young woman into a fearsome creature. Medusa's flowing hair turned into writhing snakes, her face became monstrous, and her gaze acquired a deadly power. Anyone who looked directly into her eyes would be turned to stone. This transformation stripped Medusa of her humanity and her beauty, leaving her to live in isolation as an outcast. The island she retreated to became her exile, a place where no mortal dared to tread. Over time, Medusa's new form and powers turned her into a figure of terror. Stories of her deadly gaze spread, and she became a symbol of monstrosity and horror. Warriors who sought fame and glory would venture to her island to try to slay her, but none returned. Each one who gazed upon her met the same petrifying fate, frozen in stone and left as lifeless statues across her desolate landscape. The tales of her power only amplified her fearsome reputation, and Medusa was increasingly seen not as a victim, but as a monster, defined by her deadly abilities rather than her tragic past. The most famous encounter with Medusa came through the hero Perseus. Perseus, the son of Zeus, was tasked with bringing back Medusa's head by King Polydectes. Knowing the difficulty of his mission, Perseus was aided by the gods themselves. Athena, who originally cursed Medusa, offered Perseus a mirrored shield, instructing him to use it to view Medusa's reflection, rather than looking directly at her. Hermes, the messenger god, provided winged sandals that allowed him to approach the island undetected, and Hades lent him a helmet of invisibility, ensuring he could remain unseen. When Perseus reached Medusa's lair, he carefully used the shield to guide his approach. Catching Medusa's reflection, he managed to decapitate her without ever meeting her gaze directly. Even after her death, Medusa's head retained its deadly power, and Perseus carried it as a weapon on his journey home, using it to defeat various foes. Eventually, he presented Medusa's head to Athena, who mounted it on her shield or aegis as a symbol of protection. Interestingly, even in death, Medusa's legacy continued to grow. From her severed neck, two beings emerged: Pegasus, the winged horse, and Chrysaor, a warrior born fully armed. These offspring, fathered by Poseidon, became symbols of Medusa's lasting impact on the world, her myth stretching beyond her own life and death. Over the centuries, Medusa's image evolved. In ancient Greek art, her face was depicted as monstrous, often with protruding tongue and wide, glaring eyes. This image was intended to ward off evil, making Medusa's likeness a symbol of protection against malevolent forces. In later interpretations, especially in the Renaissance, Medusa was seen as a tragic figure, a woman transformed and punished for circumstances beyond her control. Her story became a reflection on the injustice of divine punishment and the vulnerability of mortals. Today, Medusa remains one of the most enduring figures in Greek mythology. She is studied as both a monster and a symbol of victimhood, a reminder of the capricious power of the gods and the ways in which ancient mythology explored human vulnerability. Her story is one of transformation, not just from beauty to monstrosity, but from a tragic figure to a lasting cultural icon.